Hello crafters, thank you for being here with me tonight. My name is Carrie Giletto and thank you for joining me on the Monday Mix-Up card tutorial. So, if you've been to my website, you have seen the challenge and the new sketch for this Monday. And let's go ahead and change our camera view and take a look at what we're going to make tonight. All right, so as promised, here are the birthday and wedding cards that we are going to work on tonight. There's several different ones. I did them in different ways, but you can see that they pretty much all use the same products. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the different products from the different companies that we're going to mix up tonight. So like last week, we are going to use a stencil pack from Pink Fresh Studios, and we're also going to use one of their dies. So I'll be showing you that. The stencil suite that we're going to, or the stamp and die and stencil suite that we're going to be using is, let's see here. It has a name and I'm having trouble seeing it. I don't have my glasses on. So, oh, Celebrate in Style, and it is the cake, and I will show you how these work. This is a wonderful little banner set that is actually from Pink and Maine, and I've had this for quite a while. I like it because they're very long and narrow, so they're perfect for these little bitty sentiments that come in so many sets. So I keep this on my desk all the time and I use it quite a bit. We're also going to be using some word dies from Spellbinders. So these are on Spellbinders clearance section right now on their website. So you can pick these up for a very reasonable price. And I like them because they come with the big words that you can cut out and then all these perfect little sentiments that go with it. So they're a very handy couple of sets to have. And last but not least, we're going to be using this wonderful die from Concord and Ninth, and this is a die that will make your card front panel. And what I love about it is you can run it through your die machine this way if you want a portrait, and you can run it through this way if you want a landscape. So this is just a really innovative and handy die to have in your stash, and that is made by Concord and Ninth. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at our products, we'll set those aside. I have gone ahead and ran 2 of the card fronts through on the portrait direction, and we'll set those aside. And I also went ahead and did a little bit of the stamping, and I'm using a Misty tonight. So I went ahead and stamped the Happy Birthday, the Wishing You, the Let's Celebrate, and Happily Ever After. And I'm going to restamp this Happily Ever After because I kind of smushed. And I stamped those in the VersaFine Clair. This is my favorite black ink. This is a perfect ink for stamping, but if you're going to use alcohol markers, you don't want to use this. You'll want to use like this. My brain just went blank on my favorite one for Copics, but we'll cover that on another night. So I did go ahead and stamp the cakes and the flowers. These all stamp as one piece, which I think is great, and that is stamped in the Stamp Market's Bubblegum ink, which the Stamp Market also carries some really fun ink colors. And again, I have a Velcro dot there that I keep my dauber sponges right there on top. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just quickly restamp my Happily Ever After. I apologize that that happened. It just, and I'm going to do it right over here. I have something else that I'm going to ink right here, so I don't want to use up all of my space. There we go. So I hope everybody's been having a lovely week. We are actually going for Mother's Day weekend. We're going to go visit my son in Arkansas, so I'm excited about that. It's smushed a little bit, but we are just going to go with it. There we go. All right, now one thing I am going to have to do is put my hair up and put my glasses on. So I have trouble seeing what I'm doing with it like this. So, All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this out of my MISTI. And I do want to show you how the Pinkfresh stamps. I really like this because this piece here stamps all as one piece. So that just not only does it stamp all as one piece, but it also die cuts all as one piece. So that is just a great thing that Pinkfresh has done with a lot of their sets that just make it very, very convenient. Now we're going to use the inner. This is another very innovative product from Pinkfresh. The way both of these dies, whether you cut out the large one or the small, it gives you 2 for 1. So you actually get 4 in the various sizes. So it's really nice. We get both of these, one with the scallops on the outside and one with the scallops on the inside. So you can use those together or you can use them separately. And tonight we're going to use them separately, one on each of our cards. So I cut that out of some Concord and Ninth pale paint paper. And we'll save our dies for a moment. Let's see, what did I do with my stamp set? I do need that real quick. All right, so along in this set, we also have some really nice decorative dies, and we're going to go ahead and use those. There we go. And again, I'm going to use the bubblegum ink. And we're just going to come in and stamp that right down at the bottom. That's going to give our cake a nice pretty edge. There we go. And for this pretty tiered cake, we're going to do the upper one as well. I'm trying not to get my head into the camera, but I might. It's a little hard to do this without leaning forward and looking over the top of it. And the last one we're going to use, let's see, I'm going to use this one right here. And let's see, is that going to be big enough? Yeah. And for this one, I'm going to use it over here on our single layer cake. And this is just kind of playing with the icing, making that look like it has a nice swoop of icing on there. So I'm going to use that one. Okay, so now that we have those all stamped, we are going to go ahead and use our stencils. I know I used stencils last week in my Monday mix-up challenge as well, but I just couldn't resist it. I've been playing with these cakes, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So I'm going to go ahead, and instead of using my Brutus Monroe mat, because these are nice and contained, I'm not worried about getting over the edges, I'm just going to go ahead and tape these down together. There's very minimal coloring to these, and it's pretty light and easy. So I am going to stick with my bubble gum. I'm going to go ahead and tap it off down here, and then very gently rub at the sides. Now when you want something to look rounded, let me get one of my samples here. I think the blue ones, it's easiest to see. Oh, here's a gray one. When you want something to look rounded, you want to leave some white space down the middle and let your shading come in from the sides, and that's going to give the illusion of the image being rounded. So to do that, we're going to just come in from the edge, and I'm purposely not going all the way to the middle. See how that is? Now you could just leave it like this, and that's going to make a light source coming in from over here. But I kind of want it to be, the light source to be straight on. So I'm going to put a little bit of that color over on the other side. And the same with this one. And because of this big icing swoop thing here, I'm going to go ahead and put some color on all of that. All right, so that took care of that. The next color I'm going to come in with is the blush. And I'm going to do the flowers and a nice blush tone. And this is just kind of a lighter color. I'm just going to do all the flowers. It's going to be hard to see that blush color on the camera, but that's okay. There's another layer that gives some more dimension to these flowers, so I want to use the bubblegum color for that layer. All right. Very fast and easy. And again, I clean my stencils by just using a dry microfiber towel. All right, so the next one, let's see here, what have I got? We're going to go ahead and use this one. This is the first of the leaves. Let's just go ahead and tape that back down. I don't have my handy dandy hinge tonight. I know we're getting quite a bit of glare. Don't know, I'm so sorry. I should have turned off the overhead light. If you want to hold on just 1 second, I'll turn that light off. That should help with our glare quite a bit. That take care of it? Oh, good. Yes, that's going to be much easier to see. I'm glad I noticed. Okay, so I'm going to come in with a little bit of the citrine or citrine. And this is kind of a yellowy green color. And on the center of all these flowers, I'm going to add that color. And then for my leaves, I'm going to use the color Leafy. There we go. Okay, that's a pretty dark color. Okay, I think I'm going to combine a little bit of the citrine. And with that, just to lighten up my color just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay. See how that looks. That leaf color came out much darker than I remembered. Okay. Our next one is going to be right here, and that's going to be another, the leaves for our flowers. And I am going to go ahead and use that darker one. It was darker than I expected, but we don't want it to be the same color as the centers of the, there we go, of the flowers. The center of those flowers are all that citrine color. All right. Done there. Okay, now this one is going to finish out those leaves. Get that lined up just right. There we go. These are pretty easy to line up. I'm going to go ahead and a little bit more of this color. All right. Okay, now for our final template, we're going to go ahead and place that right here. My head in the screen again, it might be. There we go. And for this one, we're going to come back with our bubble gum. And this will pick up those colors in our cake. And our final stencil is going to be this cake stand right here. And it doesn't have a stamp, it just has the shape for the cake stand. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to, there we go. And the same thing, we're going to come at it just at the sides because you want to create that dimension in there. So pretty much we want to give that an edge. Now when this die cuts, it actually die cuts some shape into this, even though it doesn't have a stamp. That's okay because it's going to give us the edge. And let's see if you can see that. Let's see. See how it's going to put that design in there with the die. So that's what we're going to rely on to give this its shape. Okay, and one thing you can do with this, you don't have to use the bottom part. So on the second piece, we're going to just do the top portion. So it's just a small plate rather than having the stand on it. Okay. Yeah. All right, so there we've got all of our pieces. So I'm just going to quickly run these through the die machine and we'll be ready to construct our 2 cards. So I have our in and out here. And I have my 2 boards that we made, or backgrounds. So all we need now is our dies. Now, as part of this stencil set, within the stencils, I forgot to show you this, there's like the word celebrate, and you stencil it out and then you have a die to cut it. I find it to be a little tricky to line those little words up, and I like the bold sayings that come here a little bit better, so I'm going to do it that way. Actually, before this, I'm going to go ahead and show you this one. So that you can see how that just, it's so nice because it literally just cuts them all out at once. I love that. I wish that more companies would do this because I don't like using all this tape. I like having it all cut out at once. Just like that. Okay, and while we do that, I'll go ahead and get the wishing you and the happy birthday. Do you have a favorite tape? Do you just use a washi tape? This is the Spellbinders yellow tape. I don't get it all the time because it's kind of on the pricey side. It's $8 for a roll, but I do like the way it works. So, you know, I guess you get what you pay for. My favorite was the old version of the purple tape, but very, very hard to find nowadays. Now with this little set, I can just kind of see which one is going to fit. That one's a little too small, so I think I'll use this one. Oh. All right, we'll go ahead and run this through. You're going to hear my die machine just real quickly. All right, already our cake is coming out, no problem. All of our little pieces. Oops. Yeah. See how nice those little banners are to have in your stash? Love that. I love just walking over to my stamps, my dies, grabbing a few things and creating something fun with it. So that's kind of where this challenge came from. I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends that own a lot of product, they just have trouble busting out and using it for the first time. So sometimes just having a sketch or a template that you're copying an idea. So we all have party elements and things in our stash, whether it's a cake, it could be, you know, just really any kind of type focal point, and then have a pretty circle behind it. You could do that with ink, like make yourself an ink circle with a stencil or something like that, but put a circle back behind it to kind of highlight your image. And then a nice bold die cut word is a great thing to put on any card. So it's easy to kind of look at a design and just go to your stash and pick just the elements and then put it together with your own unique spin. So, and don't worry about, you know, this company or that company. Just enjoy putting it together with the different elements. So, whoops. One more here. Now, it looks like I will have to run this through one more time to get that other cake plate and the Let's Celebrate. So, I was hoping I'd only have to do it twice, but those ended up a little too close together. All right, I love that blush color. And I wanted to give you a close-up. Do you see how we made that look rounded by just doing the edges and leaving the white in the middle? Well, I don't know how that happened. Somehow that tape got tape glued together. All right, that off. There we go. Here's my wishing you and my happy. I think for future videos, I'll try to have all my die cutting done. I don't like for you guys to have to watch me do the die cutting because we all know how to die cut, right? But I did want to stencil these images and everything for you. And see our little cake plate, even though all that is stenciled, it's a beautiful little plate to put our beautiful cakes on. Do this. And now for our little celebrate word. Let's see the Let's Celebrate. I think that'll fit right in there nicely. Try to get that centered. Like I said, this little banner set is from Pink and Main. I don't have a whole lot of Pink and Main, but I have some, and I have to say that all of it that I do have I really like. I maybe need to go to their website and check out and see if there's if they have more goodies that I need. All right, that will make us finished with all of our die cutting. There we go. Here's our little Let's Celebrate and our last cake plate. All right, now for this little section here of the cake plate, I'm going to use, let me get the smaller scissors so you can maybe see. You see how there's a scallop in there? I'm just going to follow that scallop with my scissors and just cut that off just like that. And no one's the wiser, and you can even you know, decorate that with your flowers and such, and no one will ever know. Just a secret, right? Okay, let's get all the tape out of the way here. I like to use my tape here over and over until it kind of disintegrates. Like I said, I'm kind of cheap, and that $8 tape, I like it to last. Okay, so I have my 2 card blanks here, and for each of them, I've got my elements here. So they each have a cover plate, a circle, and I'm going to use the large one and the small one. And then I'm going to put one of them for wishing you, and one of them is going to be happy birthday. And I think I'll put the wedding cake on the tiered, or maybe the other way around. We'll do it this way. Maybe this cake here and this one here. And then we'll decide how we want our cakes to be. So we've got our flowers here, and there's so many different options on how we want to decorate our pretty cakes. So for this one, we can put this nice pretty piece on top. We can put this piece at the bottom and have the cake coming up out of it and kind of raise that cake up some. That kind of covers up our whole plate. We can, let's see here. This piece can be put on the bottom tier, or it can be put up here on the top tier. And put our little flowers down here. And then this pretty piece, sometimes I kind of liked it down here, but it also was very pretty up on top of the cake. So we just have a lot of options there. Okay. One of the things we still need to do while we decide here is trim down our cover plate about a 1/4 inch total on each side, but I'm going to do on the sides, I'm going to do an 1/18 of an inch. That way I kind of keep my striping centered. And then of course the top and bottom are exactly the same, so that's not going to matter. So I'll just go ahead and take a 1/4 inch off of that piece. I'm going to do the exact same to the other side. I just like having a nice white border around our cover plate. I think that looks nice. So that's why we do this step. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue down my 2 cover plates, and I'll show you how I like to do my cakes to get them ready to put on. Now these particular cards, for the most part, I kept them flat. That one. I didn't use a lot of pop dots. I think for some of them I might have used a little, but I kept these a lot flat. There we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and glue down my circles. Oops. And because of the striping on this, you can kind of find the center for those. All right, now for my cakes, I like to build them before I put them on my card. That way I can kind of maneuver them all as one. Okay. And I'm still not 100% sure how I want to do my flowers. If we were live on Facebook, I would have y'all just kind of chime in and tell me which way you like it best. When I did this before, I had made 4 different cake sets, so I had a little more flowers to play with. And one thing I'm going to do real quickly is go ahead and put these sentiments across the bottom, because that will help me decide where to put my cake. Just going to kind of eyeball the center here. I think I found it pretty good. All right. Yeah. I think I kind of like it over here. Down a little bit. Let's play with that a bit. I think I like it about right here, so you can still see the cake, but right. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces on. All right. Just going to put that a little bit above. We have a little bit more flexibility here with our wishing you of where we put that. So I think that's pretty good right there. And again, I'm just going to glue these down straight. By straight, I mean the one level, just like not popped up at all. We haven't got to my favorite part yet. I just really like the way these sentiments look on the card. So now that we have this one done, I'm just going to add some glue here. I kind of want that on at an angle so you can still see the cake, but the flowers are coming up out of there. There you go. And the same thing, just a little bit above, centering it there in that circle. And I'm kind of starting at the bottom, building up. And I'm kind of looking at it in thirds. If you look at your card, you've got your bottom, your middle, and your top. And that kind of gives me an idea of where I'm placing my different elements that I'm putting on the card. That can kind of help a little bit with that. It's kind of like photography. You've heard of photography, like in thirds, your composition is in thirds. It's very similar when you're doing the front of a card. There's lots of YouTube videos about that. Now, one more thing that we're going to be using on these cards is one of my favorite products. I use them all the time, and that is the Pink Fresh Studios gems. They have the prettiest bling. I just love it. But this little container, it's a little on the pricey side, but I've had this for several years and I use it a lot, and look how many are still in there. So we are going to add our bling, and I think I'm going to use this pretty pink. We could use, let's see, we could use this one to kind of pick up that blue. Maybe I'll do that. All right, and the way I like to do it, here's my little jewel picker. I believe I showed you that in the last video as well. And the way, I know there's a lot of people out there who have done a lot of videos and such on placing your jewels. for me personally, I feel like mine look the best when I put less thought into it and just kind of go with it. So I usually work diagonally. Sometimes if I'm highlighting a particular spot, I'll do that, but I'm just gonna put a couple right down here, and then maybe one more here, and here, and maybe right in here. All right, so for this one, I'm just putting them along that one side. And these jewels, one of the things I really like about these gems is they're different sizes. So we get to do smaller ones and larger ones. And let's see, I'm going to get another small one for up there on top. There you go. So that one, I just kind of highlighted that one side. And then for this one, I'm going to kind of go kind of more around here. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, and over here we'll go 4, 5. So that kind of highlights more just the top of the cake area. And I might have used most of my small ones on the other card. Ah, that one's too big. I'll use this one. All right. All right, so here's the 2 that we made tonight. I hope that you will go to your stash and look through, find yourself some background cover plate dies. You might, if you don't have any dies, you could use an embossing folder. You could use a stencil to stencil yourself a background, or like we did last week, maybe a stamp to stamp yourself a background. And then of course we all have the patterned paper where you could use patterned paper on your background. So you can see the different ways I added my flowers and added my jewels. And of course, pick yourself out a nice big bold word die. I think doing your title in black is always a great way to go. Let's go ahead and switch the camera back. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me tonight for our Monday Mix-Up Challenge. I hope you enjoy pulling some products out of your stash and having a go at it. So, all right, well, have a wonderful night, and I will see you Friday. Bye-bye.